Today we're going to tie a Green Caddis Pupa. It's a pattern that was given to me by Wayne Simpson of Bolivar, Missouri. He collaborated with the late Mike Ross of Bennett Springs, Missouri to put this pattern together. It's a pupa pattern. It's tied on a size 16 hook. I also like to tie it on a size 14. This particular pattern has a 3/32 brown or coffee bead. I'm going to be tying it with a 70/64 brown or coffee bead. For thread, I'm going to be using some chartreuse. You can tie this in anything from 8/0 on down. I'm going to be using some 12/0 Vivas. I'm going to wrap the thread, the bead in place. Lay a base down the shank. And we'll go down the bend. Come back to about an eye's length behind the bead. Okay, for the ribbing, I'm going to be using some wire. It's small gold wire. Start it right behind the bead, and as we wrap it down the shank, I'm going to bring it to the underside of the shank and on down. I'll bring the thread on back. Okay, looks like we got just a little extra wire sticking out there. So we need to get rid of that. Let me go ahead and see if I can't get that off of there. Okay. For the body, I'm going to be using some mylar, pearl mylar. This is a size medium. You can also tie it in a size large. I don't know if it makes any difference. I just prefer the medium, in that it seems to give me just a little better tie. I don't think it really makes a whole lot of difference. Okay, we'll start it behind the bead and wrap it down the shank. Pull it tight but not taut, and bring it on down around the bend. Then we'll bring our thread forward. Up to that point behind the bead, and I'm going to go down again about 3/4 of the way. And I'm going to come forward again. I'm going to go down about halfway and come forward again. Okay, I've made somewhat of a sloping body. I'm going to add just a little bit of head cement. Probably isn't necessary. It does help keep the mylar in place while we're tying. Eventually the wire over that and the UV glue will hold it in place. Going to wrap forward, keeping our mylar taut, not so tight that we break it. Bring it forward. And we'll tie it off behind the bead, maybe about 1 eye length back. 3 wraps are sufficient behind it. A couple in front. And we'll clip off the tag. Put in a half hitch. And we're ready to bring forward our wire. I'm going to counter wrap it. Don't have to, but I'm going to. Okay, we'll tie it off. And I'm going to airplane it off. Helicopter it. Okay, we'll put in a 1/2 hitch. Okay, now I'm going to give the body a coat of UV glue. This is Solex. To give it kind of a pupa look. Don't need much, just a dab. Okay, we'll cure it. Okay, now we're ready to put on our deer hair. Okay, I've come back about a little more than an eye length back. I'm going to be using some just regular old deer hair, nothing special. It's just an old Missouri deer hair hide. We'll clip out a bundle and we'll clean it up. We don't need a whole lot. Pick out the long ends, pick out the short ends, hold it by the tip, and we can pull out some of those shorter ones. Okay, I'm going to hold it between my finger and thumb, and I'm going to twist it just a little bit. That'll help move some of those fibers, and I can sometimes then get rid of some of the smaller ones. Okay, I have just a small clump, I don't have much. I'm going to use the hair stacker and stack it. And let's do it again. It came out on me. Okay, we're going to hold the tips so they're about halfway down the shank. And I'm going to put the fibers in like a pinch wrap between my thumb and finger. I'm going to make 2 soft wraps, and then I'm going to make a 3rd wrap, and this time I'm going to pull straight down. Not real hard, I'm just putting it snug. It gives me an opportunity to look at my wings, and they look like they're in pretty good position. If they weren't, I could pull these stub ends together and pull back just a little bit until I got it in the position I wanted it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap these wing buds in place by going back towards the bend, and then I'll make a wrap forward, and in between them pick them up and make a couple wraps in front of them. We'll clip it off. Okay, we'll make sure we've got them pretty well distributed. Okay, at this point in time, if I wanted to comply with the original pattern or tie the original pattern, I would go ahead, put on my collar, whip finish it, and I would be done. I'm going to tie what I call a variant. My good friend Joe Aminetti, I call it an Aminettiism. He told me you can always twink a fly to make it your own. So I'm going to use some CDC to put a hackle on this particular fly. I've got the stub here, I've got all the real long ones pulled out. I'm going to go to the tip, pull it back. I've got the shiny side towards me, the dull side down. If there is such a thing, you can see it with this CDC. Make about 3 or 4 wraps to hold it in place. Clip off the excess and take my half hitch tool excuse me, my hackle pliers. I'm going to make about 3 wraps of this hackle around the shank. I'm going to preen it back as I wrap. I'm going to try to make 1 wrap right in front of the previous, continuing to pull the fibers back. Okay, then we'll tie it off. Clip out the stem. And we've got, pull those fibers back, try to get them towards the rear. Just a little long, so I'm going to pinch them. And we'll go ahead now and we'll put in another 1/2 hitch. And we'll go ahead now and put on the collar. And again, we're going to use some dubbing, some peacock dubbing. Doesn't take a whole lot, just a dab. Let me wet that just a little bit more so we get rid of all those, many of those stragglers as we can. Okay. Get rid of some of the stragglers that we've got there. And we have the variation of the Green Caddis Pupa. Both these patterns are excellent. Carry them both in your fly box. I don't think you'll regret it.